And good evening. This is the Elliott wave update for the NASDAQ 100 and the S&P 500 for Wednesday, March 6th, 2024. I've taken a lot of things off of the chart and just left the count as I have it right now. And really what I'm working on in the background, and I'm not ready to present, is the possibility that this high that we had on the 4th, on Monday, completed the entire upside sequence. And if that is the case, then we are starting on our way down. But I'm not quite ready. And actually, for the S&P, which will come next, I am going to present it because it makes a lot of sense. It's not as smooth and obvious here in the NASDAQ. And there are a couple of other things within the NASDAQ, particularly in the Qs and other things that continue to suggest that the uptrend is still in place for right now, likely in a topping type of a situation, but still in play. And that's also including some cycle work and some other things that go along with a market that's kind of forming a top. Now, where we are right now, so what I basically have done is I've switched it to wave one. So it kind of takes it out of that expanding triangle, keeps it in a likely triangle pattern, but I'm going to narrow it down and basically put it in the minute fifth wave. So it's a minute fifth wave, likely forming a diagonal triangle. Now, the key here is that it really must form a diagonal. It needs to begin to wedge. It needs to wedge itself up into its completion point. So right now it's a little bit difficult because what we connect is wave 1 to 3, wave 2 to 4. And we're going to be looking for this thing to continue to wedge. But we continue to see that 5, 3, 5. So it's an ABC for wave 1, an ABC for wave 2. And if this is the small wave 1 of wave 3, then it needs to continue. But in terms of what we will get is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A of 3, 1, A, B, C, B of 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, C of 3. Now that's what the expectation would be. So if I leave that in place, and I'm just going to bring it down to the 15-minute chart because what I want to show now is basically here, and then I'm going to start to build the fibs so that we can start to see the internals, because the other side is, if this marked it, the completion point, then this is likely 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. And this is where it gets tricky. Now, I brought it down and I looked at this on a closed basis. And on a closed basis, this did not overlap. So it can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It can be a 5-wave structure. But then again, look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's also 5-wave structure. So if it is, and we're going to look at it as 5, it could be wave 1 of 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wave A of 2. And we get a little B wave, we come back down in a C wave, and it does have some room. It just cannot exceed 17,838. Now, so we're setting it up here, truly, that we will, it's kind of like, in a way, and I hate to put it this way, but boxing the market in to really let us know what is going on. Because according to the pattern, this is what I have. Now, if it were to come down and break below here, then again, we're working into a different form where it was 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3. This could have been a 4, because I'll tell you what, if I take it out and I put it back in the candlestick chart, doesn't it look like an ABC? Then it's a 4. Large as it was, it did not break the rule. And the rule is that wave 4 cannot overlap wave 1. So, yep, it came up. Yep, it's big. Yep, it's bigger in relationship to wave 2. But the market is absolutely crazy at the moment. And I'll tell you what, If I even just take this down, let's just take a look. This was what we did today. Whoa, 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 and up and down and all around. And the moves, this is a 2-minute chart. These moves were really kind of vicious. So this is like a triangle all in and of itself. It's a diagonal. This is the diagonal. And now we're looking for it on a bigger scale going up. So, and then this slide up, slide, boom, boom. This was today. And so, and out of nowhere, suddenly, bang, they just smacked it, rallied up, smacked it, rallied up, hit it, et cetera. It just kept doing that all the way down into the close, and then ran it up, and then brought it back down. And then basically we found the buyers again after the close. So it was actually, as far as trading goes today, it really was good trading if you were a day trader, if you could get in and out of the market and you picked your points and you were successful. There was plenty of money, truly, because the moves were big. The moves were big and very fast. Mind you, this is 2 minutes. 2 minutes, it went from 18,070, we're going to say 18,079 to 18,007. So it dropped 72 points in 2 minutes. That's a pretty big move, and it was very fast when it did it. And then the rallies were also just as intense. So anyway, trading was actually quite nice. Now, I'm going to go back to my 15-minute chart. We're, again, just trying to determine, is the top in? And are we now starting to form our initial 5 waves down? We did get 5 in here, but it doesn't show up cleanly enough. So we still need this to drop and to come out. Now, this all made me feel like, wow. But here you go. We dropped it and they brought it back. We dropped it and they brought it back. And that was also a pattern for today. They'd come in and they'd sell it, and then they'd turn around and the buyers would walk right back in and sell it and buy it. Now, really what was going on today inside the NASDAQ was that Apple was getting pounded. Apple was, just down, 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 smash, get it. It actually dropped below 169. So it was below 170, then below 169, fought its way back at the end of the day. What really kind of held this thing up? Meta and NVIDIA. And once NVIDIA got it going, then here comes AMD and AMN following up. But then we had weakness in Microsoft. We had weakness in Netflix. We had weakness in Tesla. And so it was it was jerking itself around, but those big moves were coming onto the upside because they'd step back into NVIDIA. For whatever the reason is, again, whatever the reason was, I can't tell you it's because they were bullish, or I can't tell you it's because they were buying tons of calls and the dealers having to sell the calls and buy the stock. Tons of scenarios can fit in there. Bottom line is the stock ran, they'd bring it back down, they'd step back in and run it, and they bring it, it just ebbed and flowed from moving itself up to being like up 30 or even a little bit more, and then dropping it back down, $5, $6, $7. And the other was Supermicro Computer. That, as I've said before, is being added to the S&P 500. So anybody that has that as the S&P 500 as in its entirety, it now needs to add. And you say, I forget what I think they're just adding it, but I'm sure they're taking something out. No, I can't think of what it is. One leaves, the next one comes in. And so it's being added to the S&P 500. And so everybody who has that in as asset managers, portfolio managers, they got to go in and add it to the basket, to that index. So we get a lot of that. So the volatility kind of gets a little bit rolling in all kinds of directions, particularly in SMCI. So there's going to be things that are going to go on once it is inside the S&P 500. it likely will begin to add to that movement, but it'll get weighted inside the index, and a lot of that volatility will come out. So, but it's not done yet. In any case, adding all these things together, we're getting basically on an intraday basis very, very conflicting moves in terms of, okay, are we now headed higher? Are we now going to move and finish this? Are we now, we're really trying to just figure out where are we in this whole scheme of things. That actually still remains. But what I'm attempting to do is to really pin down, are we done? And we're just now going to start to work our way lower. Regardless if I'm thinking that the Qs are one of the other indexes, right? The Qs are an ETF on the NASDAQ. They actually could have the possibility that they could go up and they can make another new high in the Qs, but it's not required. What really is fixed with the Qs is that it's just been walking its way higher, and it corrects, walks its way higher, and that's been matching up very cleanly with a cycle. So a cycle tops, comes down, so the ebb and flow of a cycle is also connecting with what the Qs are doing. So we've just maybe, if not this week, maybe next week, we put in a cycle low, which doesn't necessarily mean that the Q is going to drop and fall apart. It just, it might be a price low in terms of look at what we did yesterday. High to low, that was the low. And so you get that movement come down and we kind of roll up to when the cycle peaks again and then roll back down. So, but then that cycle peak, it may take it to another new high. Don't know. It really kind of goes on the premise of, again, we're working towards Friday, which is an expiration. So I think eventually the positioning will begin to shift. If in terms of, that everybody's got these larger positions on, and maybe they're on in NVIDIA on the 885 level or the 900 level. I mean, we were up over $890. We're up to $894, I think I saw today. So again, are they going for the 900s? So a lot kind of behind the scenes going on that will affect. But even with NVIDIA holding higher all day long and substantially, that's not bad, that the market itself finished clean. NASDAQ was up on the day, but that's going to start to wane because you start to see other parts of the NASDAQ continuing to weaken. And it could be Apple, could be Microsoft, and we start getting those other higher weighted stocks. I mean, as I talked about yesterday, Microsoft now is up top as carries the heaviest weight. It's capitalization, weighted stock. And so we had Microsoft, then we have Apple. We have NVIDIA up there. We have Netflix up there. We have Meta up there. Excuse me, Amazon, Google. They're all sitting up there in that top 7, top 10. So again, when we're seeing this rotation start of Google's basically been getting hit, maybe Google recovers some, but maybe it's just a bounce, not necessarily to new highs again. I believe it's all a part of the topping process. And it's either is done or we have one more run back up to finish it. Now that's what I'm feeling. But that one last move, excuse me, can be quite dynamic. So let me try to start to build the fibs for it. And again, I'm waiting for the market to tell me, because if I had to play this against the S&P, I would be like, no, it's not going to happen. So right now I still have for the minor fifth wave, where the possibility is, and we reached minor 5, reached 1.618. That's been taken out. So that remains. And that's why I'm like, it could be all done. Excuse me. What comes up after that is now we're going to come inside here. So I'm going to go, I'm sorry. Sometimes this thing just really begins to get me. Let me see if I can just pull it together here. Yeah, it should work. How is it? Sorry. Sometimes it gets to be a little bit much. All right. So I just want, that's what I want. Because we're going to go here. So I'm going to put these fibs in. And I'm going to go put that up. Come to here. And we can put it there. So here we have as well. We have this one, the 1.618. Now we have for minute wave 5, 1.618 is 18,527. That would be enough additional to get us up there. Now that's suggesting that we might be back to that. This is 1, then we get a 2, then we get a 3, then we get a 4, and then we get a 5. And if I'm drawing channel lines, it really should stay inside the channel. So they kind of start to get smaller in terms of wave 3 will not be likely the longest. It'll can't be the shortest, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the longest. Wave 5, we would then anticipate to be the shortest. But it's just good if it's going to wedge, then we see this a 2, a 3, a 4. Excuse me. We see a wave 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5. So that even if this starts to come up, it's going to wedge. Now, 1 to 3, and then 2 to 4, and it'll form, and hopefully it's going to show itself right up in here. Now, that is a strong possibility. And so what I can also add, if necessary, I'm going to look for what it's going to be a little bit more difficult for wave. I want to add, let me just add these as well, that to that right there to here. So even wave 3 can get up to 18,453. And that's putting a new high above 1, which is what we're looking for. But wave 1 would still be the longest. So what then this would be, if this is 1 and this is 2, then this would be A. And this we're looking for the B, and then we get the C, and then call it wave 3. So it's either 1. Actually, I can change that. I meant to do that before. We're going to call it wave A. So it's either going to be wave A of this third wave, or it can be just wave A, and then we're in the B wave now, and then we get the rally for wave 3. So an ABC 3, ABC 4, ABC 5. And that still is in the picture and doesn't necessarily have to go cruising all the way to our much, much higher levels, but you're still sitting there. So again, it's refinement, refinement, refinement if this whole thing is still alive to the upside. So if not, then we're going to, so the other side, the alternate would call that this is all done. And this turns in, I could work this, that we have, basically, I can move the 3 over to here, the 4 over to here. This turns into a 5, put the 5 in the 5 and just work it. And with the triangle, even the diagonal, which actually started to fall apart, they can't force it, but it could be a possible diagonal within the minute fifth. Otherwise, if it's all done, I can work that too. And then this would be wave 1 or 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'd be looking. So the alternate would suggest if we're still heading down, we don't really go much further than here before we start to really trip over ourselves or the market trips over itself and we start to break and get below 17,832. Then that could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. and we still get a rally, and we start to drop more precipitously. Alternate, that's the alternate right now. Right now, that's the alternate, because I don't have confirmation that this is done. All right. I hope it makes sense. It has not been easy, but this is a topping process. And I really do appreciate some of you guys that have commented saying, hey, it is, and it's not an easy thing. It is a difficult thing to do. I'll tell you what truly is working is day trading. That is working. You're playing on price point versus, or price action versus anything else. Okay. Let's take a look at the S&P because I've really stripped it down. And I'm really just going to go right into here. And so there was the B. We're looking for the C. I've not placed it yet, but I've taken everything off and I've relabeled what I consider minor wave 5. So I'm just going to open it even more and look in here. And so before I had labeled this as wave 3 down here, and this was 4, and we were working in a diagonal for 5. And then I started to really take a look at this, and I thought, okay, it came down really hard. It seemed to peak. It did make new highs, and then just nosedived on itself. And basically came down to that low. But if imagine, if we really take a look, we probably could think, did it break? Not quite. All the bodies of the candle it did, but the extreme, which I'd have to consider, it didn't. But if it starts to break wave 4, and I'm looking here that this would have been an ABC, it just stopped fitting as neatly. So what I did is I have 1, 2, and then I have 1, 2, again, irregular. That works. It's fine. We're finding it more in the second position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I put the 3 here. Then we had very complex, but it was a 4. Combination of 3s working to a 4th wave. And then we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, minute 5, minor 5. I'm looking now, I'm waiting because I want to see the confirmation. And in all honesty, if I come down here and I open this up, and let's go look at the line chart, which sometimes takes a lot of stuff out. It does, and it can. We have 1, 2, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's still more looking like it's a 3. Is this A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4? It's really got up too high today. So this works against it. This would have to turn into a 5. If I would go back over and I put it in the candlestick, there is that possibility. I can go 1, 2, and then I got a 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow. I had it before. And it's like, it might be a little bit more difficult, but I think we can work it to where we have 5. And that's the hourly. Let me bring it down to the 15-minute chart and take a look inside. So we got a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, a 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I brought it down to the 15 to really count out that there would be a 5 wave down, and then I put a 1 on it. So it is possible that that's all done. Now, I've removed all of the fibs for anything going on the upside. So truly, if this is a 1 and that's a 2, and we're ready to start to drop again, right? Because we could kind of go A. If this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, put in a 2 and a 1. Now again, I'm going to bring this down on the line chart. That's a straight line. So again, got to get clarification, but this is now what I'm working towards. If we still had upside to do, I'm truly, it would have to kind of come in as this would all be minuet wave 1 of minute wave 5, minuet wave 2, and we're working on a 3 that's going to continue to go up. But the market would have to do it pretty much now. So again, to show you, this would be wave 1 of 5. This would be wave 2 of 5. And this would be 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 3 of 3. And what we would be looking at is 2 of 5, and then we're going to go and 1. So I'm going to go from here. No, why is that there? Give this back. I'm going to go from here. Come on. Here. Come on. What's going on? Thank you. To here, to here. So we're up where wave. We're looking for where wave 3 can come in. We have 51.60, but here 52.21 for third, and then a 4 and a 5. Now again, big picture, big picture. I've got to go all the way back out to that weekly, and I'm going to put these back. And those are what we would keep in place, coming down to there. And let me take all this out and just put those for the irregular. So 236 already gone. So what we have left, 1.236, is already gone. That's already been taken out. So we have this one up here. And now you can see that, come back down, put it on the hourly. And we have it where wave 3, 4, or 5 get up to 0.2618 on a run. And that brings us back up at 5,300. So those still exist. If indeed this is not the case, and it just starts to run again. Now, this is still a work in progress, but I needed to make an update for today, so I'm focusing on this to just either give confirmation that it's done, which I mean drop as hard as we did yesterday, or rally as hard as we did several days ago. So I think that's really the point where I'm at, where I'm looking to see, to give more confirmation. I know I'm going to get a lot of comments, so please. It's still a work in progress, and I am still just trying to work through what I believe the market is attempting to do. And so this came in and I saw it earlier today, and I'm like, okay, I've got to present it. And what would be needed once I get to fulfill all of that confirmation by coming back down again would be that I put the C wave and the B wave here. I've done that before, and I got, bam, the next thing you know, they're rallying this thing beyond belief. So that's actually where I'm just going to keep it for today, folks. And I am, let me just check and see. Tomorrow, we do have some numbers coming up. Thursday, we have initial job claims, U.S. productivity, U.S. trade balance, Chairman Powell, Fed Chair, again, continues to testify in Congress. I think tomorrow he goes over to the Senate, or he was at the Senate today and goes to the House tomorrow. And we have consumer credit at 3 p.m. Eastern. So economic numbers all 8:30 a.m. and about 9:40 a.m., I guess, is when he's supposed to start to testify. But as what happened today, what he was going to present was released prior, and market reacted. Well, we'll see what happens tomorrow. All right. The next update will be on Thursday, March the 7th.